Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Severson. I'm the founder of the Unapologetic Voice House, a hybrid publishing house. We are here with Jennifer Urezzio this morning, a master intuitive, and we're talking about publishing a book, the emotional components that go into publishing a book, and a one-on-one program that I put together for storytellers with books coming out into the world. And Jennifer is here to support us and share a little bit about what she is putting into Storyteller Junction, the one-on-one program that I've just recently launched. Thanks for coming, Jennifer.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. My what my mission, what my purpose is really to help people connect to their essential nature, right? That place that knows that they're whole and complete, that's never been hurt, that knows that they are success, that is free of the pain and suffering that this human experience kind of collects. And I created a paradigm called soul language, which puts tangibility around soul. And I'm so excited to be a part of what you're putting together because I wrote a book. I wrote 2 books, right? And I remember just the editing process, being exhausted, being like full of emotion. At one point, I was like, I just don't care what the right word is. Like, can we just get this done, right? Like, really, and it was a spiritual book, right? Like, I would be like, do we have to talk about the word and can we just leave it, right? And I think that it's so important for people to have, especially when you're birthing that big of a project, to have this publishing birth team around you, this writer's birth team, to really help you through the emotional expansion that happens. It you think that it's a lonely process, but it doesn't have to be. And I don't think most writers know that.
Yep. You were taught that this is something you do in isolation at a coffee shop by yourself with headphones on or in a room by yourself. So the whole thing really started. My book is coming out in May of 2022 called Unapologetically Enough. And my book was picked up for a catalog that our distributor puts out 3 times a year that goes out to 200,000 book buyers. So that is it's a huge opportunity. That's a long lead process. That is something that you start working on literally a year before the book comes out. So I have like 7 or 8 months before that my book is seen publicly. And I've been leaning into accepting, allowing, activating, getting aligned with the possibility of massive visibility all year. And the more aligned I get, the more vulnerable I feel, the more emotional I become, the more unraveled I think I get, and the more I lean into my support team. And recently, as a publisher, so that's me as a writer, as a publisher, I see the amazing opportunities that so many authors have to stand in the spotlight, to claim their book, to be massively visible. And one of 2 things happen. Either we kind of shrink, we shy away, and Brene Brown calls it the vulnerability hangover. And that's a real thing. It's the contraction that happens from being so exposed, or just sort of run at it full force and then eventually collapse because you can only keep up the speed for so long. And I've done the latter, the like just run at it until you can't run anymore. And I can start to feel why authors contract, because it's the holy cow, there's so much of me that's in this. It is scary. And so I came to a point where I called it my Storyteller Junction. It's this space of me accepting, allowing, activating, becoming totally aligned. This is the junction. I get to work on me as the storyteller. I get to do all the self-care things and the self and expand and lean in to my heart and soul and stay aligned. And so Storyteller Junction is this beautiful program I put together where me and authors are going to work on what it is going to feel like when 100 people are going to come at you at all times of the day and ask you to tell their story, your story over and over again. And what it's going to feel like when strangers read your book, and really get into that space.
Yeah.
And I turned to you and another spiritual healer to sort of support us in this journey, so that we're not attacking, we're looking at old stories, old programs, old things, fears from all aspects. The subconscious, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. So it's a very beautiful program, and I'm really excited that you're part of it.
Thank you. And I'm excited that it's being presented to people, right? You know, I think that people do not fully understand what that big of a project stepping out into the spotlight, which is one of my great gifts to help people be there and be accepting and feel safe being vulnerable around it. But also, most of us have had trauma. And our first instinct of trauma is to go very, very tiny, very, very small. You can't go small if you're trying to do this big thing, right? Most people want to they have a big mission with their book. They want it to be successful. And that means that you need to receive more than you give, which means you need all of those tools, all of those support people, all of those aspects of receiving put in place on a continual basis.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get the hangover, you're going to go into trauma, you're going to get mad. That's why, we hear about these artists and these writers and these celebrities who throw tantrums. It's
Yeah.
because they're in that overload and they don't know balance, they don't know support, and they're not really
Yeah.
dealing with their energetics, right? So they act like children. And so what I love what you're doing is offering people this great opportunity to really to be held and to come out the other side, not just with a best-selling book, but stronger, more successful, more in tuned with who they are, which and more ready to face anything and break through that spiritual glass ceiling, which is what I'm so good at, to really receive as much as possible
Yeah.
from their acts of service, their gifts and talents and their greatness. So it's going to be an amazing, fun time. And I think people don't really realize that transformation can be fun. It doesn't have to be, slogging through the snow and the sleet.
Yeah. So my book, Unapologetically Enough, the tagline is reshaping success and self-love. And so my book is really at looking at how I accepted myself as enough, through professional burnout and through a personal crisis of going through 2 rounds of IVF and walking away with nothing to show for it. And it's incredibly exposing, and it feels very raw. And when I accepted a speaking opportunity a little bit ago, and somebody was like, what can you do? What is one tip that you have for authors that you feel they're not doing? And something came to me in that moment, which is, one of my favorite things about speaking is being able to just sort of get a download and just sort of share it. But I heard, work on your receiving aspect. So it's very, I don't know if we talk about this and as writers, when you're putting a book out to the world, you're in constant give. You're just pouring this part of your soul and your heart into a project, and you give it into the world. In order for you to receive the accolades and receive the sales aspect and all of the beautiful pieces that come with it, both the good and the bad, because you are going to get critics that aren't favorable. That's just part of being an author. You have to work on this being able to receive, and that does come with support. And I love the team aspect that you state. Okay, so can you share a little bit about what you're going to be offering the women and I say women because the majority of my clients are, what women can expect to receive from you when they step into Storyteller Junction?
Yeah, they're going to get a soul language identification, which we're going to identify the 3 core energies of their essential nature. And then I'm going to teach them how to connect to that part of them that's never been hurt, that knows that they're whole and complete, to take action from there, to move through challenge from there, to widen and opening their receiving, and also to feel safe being vulnerable in the spotlight. So that's a lot of
Yeah.
goodness that they can use again and again as a resource. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, Jennifer's, so women that step in, it's a 3-month program. We'll have ongoing calls with me, and then you'll have, I think, 2 calls with Jennifer, probably in the beginning of the program and before the program ends. And one of my favorite aspects of what Jennifer does, I mean, I've worked with Jennifer. She supported me as I launched Unapologetic Voice House in 2018. One of my favorite things she does is just help you get in aligned quickly by prayer. And she creates personalized prayers for folks, which is so great. As authors, we love mantras, we love affirmations, but a personalized prayer with helping you stay aligned with your project. Yeah, something else. So Storyteller Junction is a program that you can enroll if you have a book coming out within the next year and you are starting to feel resistant or you're freaking out a little bit that this thing is going to be out into the world, that it's going to stay out in the world. Get in touch with me, Carrie Severson, the unapologeticvoicehouse.com. Or if you're on Facebook or any other social media platform you find this on, and we will talk and start enrolling you and get you into a really supportive environment so that you can get aligned with your big, massive project that you're putting out there.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone.